If not, we're going to recess the joint hearing, and then we're going to adjourn the Committee on Water and Land for House Bill 1249 relating to Hawaii Community Development District. First up, Dennis Onishi, Hawaii County Council. In support, Anthony Ching, Hawaii Community Development Authority.
Good morning, Chair Evans and members. Anthony Ching, Executive Director of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. Our testimony is that we take no position and offer comments. And we also note that given DLNR's testimony in opposition, we certainly defer to our sister agency with respect to matters affecting their administration of state lands. I'm obliged to be a little bit nitpicky. The title might be flawed in that it references Hawaii Community Development District, but nowhere is the district, that particular district, described in the proposal. So you may have a legal issue. I believe to strengthen the clarity of intent, I think on page 2, lines 3 to 6, lines 7 to 11, there's references alternately to board and authority. And for clarity and or lack of a definition page, that might be an issue that should be clarified. With respect to governance structure, I do note that beginning on page 11, section 2 of the proposal, it completely reverses the structure, membership and governance structure that was just established by the last legislature, Act 323, Session Laws 2012. With respect to the, again, impact upon DLNR operations, certainly it's important that the DLNR not lose its revenue and assets to do its job. And so, again, we would ask that those consequences be factored into your deliberations. With respect to the capacity and mission of HCDA, we're certainly capable of taking on something as described as our three main responsibilities are to wield zoning, to conduct community master planning, follow through with infrastructure projects, and then steward assets. But having said that, without that kind of clarity, there might be some legal consequences unless corrected, as well as negative consequences to the operations of DLNR. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. DLNR.
Thank you, Madam Chairs. The department opposes this bill for several reasons, and one of the main reasons is the financial impact to the department. The current land leases, in terms of revenue to the department, is just under $1 million, and these are on assets that are undervalued. So, in the future, the revenue potential for the department is much more significant than the $1 million, as significant as that $1 million is. With regards to redeveloping in the area, one of the issues is many of the current lessees are at the end of the cycle of their leases. The legislature passed Act 219, Session Laws 2011, which actually authorized the board to extend hotel leases up to another 55 years under certain conditions, and those conditions meant significant investment in the area. To date, we've only worked with one lessee who has come forward. We stand ready to work with any other of the lessees that wish to come forward with proposals for serious investment into their hotel properties or resort properties. So we have a mechanism on the books right now to deal with the issue of lessees coming to the end of their lease and wanting and being afraid to invest more money. So the legislature has already passed Act 2119, which can help us move forward with any serious applicants that want to come forward to redevelop this area. So with those two comments, again, I remind the committees that we strongly oppose this bill because of the serious consequences that it has to the department's operation.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to testify? If not, members, any questions? Yeah, Representative Kaufman.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Ayala. What percentage of the land under your control would you classify as, I would call it urban or, commercial type property versus ag land? And
I'm going to ask Administrator Russell Suji to come up and provide you with that information. He knows it much better than I do.
And chairs, committees, Russell Suji for the land division. I'm sorry, I don't have an exact percentage, but I can tell you as far as in the urban area or in the resort industrial type areas, industrial, commercial, it's a very, very minute percentage of the total acreage. We have 1.3 million acres of state lands under the Board of Land and Natural Resources. A lot of them executive ordered out or leased out to, executive ordered out to the other agencies or private leases. But I can assure you, as far as the urban or resort, very, very limited, very minute. So Banyan Drive is one of the few, if, as far as resorts from the top of my head, resort areas, Banyan, and one small little hotel in Maui.
okay. Because I understand the implications of the rent, but I would think most people would think of DLNR handling the rural lands, and when we get into areas similar to Kakako and things like that, where there's a need to have some kind of a master plan and actually proactively work towards improving it, I do see a conflict. Do you have anybody in DLNR that does that kind of work for this kind of property?
In my division, in the land division, we do have a small group that, because prior to that, the board, because of the vast amount of lands, and yes, a lot of lands under our jurisdiction are obviously the ocean, the mountains, a lot of rural areas. But in order to support the programs at DLNR for protection of natural resources, I think the board recognized that there has to be at least a portion of those lands where appropriate for income production to support the department, and that's what we try to do. And I think we're, Chair can comment more, but I think our division is rather successful at helping support the other divisions as we laid out in our testimony.
And that group is different than the PLDC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have to follow all entitlement processes. Yes.
It's a process that was put in place probably about 4 or 5 years ago, recognizing that the general funds that was coming to the department was declining, and therefore we needed to utilize the lands that were under our control in more efficient manners to raise revenue. So it's the constant challenge for the department, right? Protect, but make some revenue so that you can protect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair Isla and Anthony Ching. Thank you, Mr. Suji. I believe with the HCDA, don't you have a process like an advisory council, a group that supports what's going on in the authorities area?
I think we've established stakeholder groups in particular areas where we have clusters. For instance, we administer Kewalo Basin Harbor. In that particular case, we've established a across the spectrum advisory group. There are other advisory groups for the Mauka area and ad hoc groups that we also will convene.
Okay, because I'm seeing some value in this, but not as the way it's written. And one of the things being is it is a resort area. It has an amazing amount of potential. It's just fabulous. It is an area that needs to reinvent itself. I can see DLNR still being the landowner, but to help them in a system, I can assist them. I can see why there may be they're calling it a community development board, but more of a community development advisory board, in that I think we need to bring more capacity to the department to help them address the issue. Because your staff, I have to believe with all the cuts and everything that we've done over the years, for your staff to actually focus on this one area, to come up with a master plan, a business plan, reach into the community, talk to the the county council, the mayor, and all the things to do a kind of a resort node type of development is a lot of staff time. So I'm wondering how we can convert this more into, instead of a board going in and doing the policy making, you have a group that's in there really driving us, getting the business plan, master plan, and what we need done. And I think they do HCDA. You have that assistant, don't you, from stakeholders? That's why I'm asking the question. There's got to be something we can do, because right now people want, I think they're asking us to help find a way to help this move along.
If I could answer that first. With regards to the administration's Harbors and Parks Development Authority that we have before you, there is a provision in there to access the expertise and the staff of HCDA. So the department would be certainly willing to work with HCDA and bring their expertise and bring their staff in and assist our staff in this development that everyone agrees has to occur in Hilo. So we would be open to that possibility. I'm going to put words in his mouth. He can say now what he thinks.
Well, Chair Evans, I'm again acutely aware of the negative impact that loss of revenues would do to the Department of Land and Natural Resources. So on that first answer, and I haven't had a chance to discuss it with Director Isla, but the logical conclusion would be do not transfer ownership of the lands currently titled to DLNR to HCDA as this bill provides. Then should a structure such as you describe or the legislature establishes, that would give us the responsibility, no profit, the responsibility to develop those master plans, to follow through with infrastructure improvement projects as appropriated by the legislature, and then affect the changes, but it doesn't affect the finances. Again, I didn't consult. I hope that's appropriate from DLNR's standpoint, but if we take no money and the revenue remains with DLNR, the benefit can accrue.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Members, any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you, members. We're going to adjourn, or recess, excuse me. We're going to recess the House Bill 1249 relating to Hawaii Community Development Authority. The recommendation, if you concur, Chair, we want to defer it for decision-making on February 4th's agenda. I think our hearing starts at 9 o'clock. I'm going to put 9 a.m.
I do agree.
Thank you.